Alright YouTube, what is happening? It is time for another knife video. We've got the Kershaw Bareknuckle, very popular knife right now, for a few good reasons. We're going to talk about that. So let's kind of get into it, shall we? Boom. Freaking fires out fast, doesn't it? So the Bareknuckle, the latest and greatest in variation of the Natrix, or, oh jeez, that was not good. The light just fell. I shouldn't say variation of the Natrix. Technically, they're all variations of the 777, the very, very famous Kershaw, or not Kershaw, ZT knife that I've had a few of. And sorry, I'm just fixing my lighting here, getting a little shadows, trying to rectify that situation. So, the latest variation made in the USA, which is awesome. Comes in at about 70 bucks, which is also awesome. And let's go into the reviews and stuff, or the specs and stuff real quick. So I've got the cheap Natrix, the carbon fiber one next to it. So it is larger than that, obviously. Your blade length is 3.5 inches. Closed is 4.7, so it's a pretty sizable knife. Overall length is 8.2 inches, 14C28N steel, drop point blade, stonewash finish. Anodized aluminum handle, subframe lock, KVT ball bearing, deep carry, clip, all that good stuff. Weighs 3.4 ounces. So, it's lightweight because of the aluminum handles. We're going to get into the aluminum handles in a second. But, let's go ahead and talk about, well, you can see a size comparison here. Let's do those first. And I think, I like the size of this Natrix better than the Bareknuckle. That's just because I like a little bit smaller, medium to smaller size knives. I wish they would have kind of just, honestly, let me just get this out of the way first. I wish they would have just taken this knife with the G10 handles, not necessarily this carbon fiber, but G10 handles, and the same blade shape and the same everything, and just upgraded the steel and called it a day. That would have been better in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. So, let's get into some other size comparisons real quick. Since it's a larger knife, we're going to compare the Rick Hinder XM18 38.5 inches, very, very close in size, and the Spyderco Kapara. These are probably my two largest knives. The Bareknuckle and Kapara are almost identical in size. So if you like a little bit bigger knife, this is definitely a good one for you. So, I like the material. Well, I like this blade steel. It's good, decent for the money, for 70 bucks. I love that they're doing manual flippers. First of all, that's amazing. I think this is the first manual Kershaw USA made knife in a long time. I don't even know. I can't even think of one off the top of my head, because the Dividend, the Link were all assisted openers. All their other ones that are made in the US are minus the Skyline. That's the one that was coming to mind, but that's freaking forever old. The autos are the other ones they make in the US. So this is like one of the first ones they've done manual, which is awesome. And I hope that's a trend that continues. It's made in the USA, guys. This is awesome. For 70 bucks, one thing that I did a lot of research before I did this video. I could not find hardly any knives made in the USA for under 70 bucks that have these kind of materials. Now there's some buck knives that have like 420HC steel and some cheaper case knives, you know, that aren't even modern. But really, in this range of steel and materials and everything, there was really not much out there. The next closest thing I could find was the Buck, the new Buck, and it's not even in the same. It's a backlock and it has micarta and S30V, but it's like $10 more. But you know that's a pretty good deal. But there wasn't a lot. Now, when you expand, so that's a big pro. So if you're trying to stay USA made knife and you want a USA made knife for under 100 bucks or even under 70 bucks. You don't have a lot of options, honestly. There's not a lot of Spydercos. There wasn't hardly any. There was no Benchmades that I could find. I mean, I did a lot of research, specifically on the Blade HQ website. So if I'm missing something, let me know. But I'm talking USA made only. So that is a plus. It's the best value of any USA made knife really out there, because it's 70 bucks and it's made in America, in Oregon, and it has a pretty good blade steel, a nice flipping action on bearings. It's lightweight, has the deep carry pocket clip, it's got good ergonomics, it's comfortable in the hand. Yeah, it's a great deal if you're looking for USA made. Now, let me talk about what I don't like about the knife first. First of all, I don't love aluminum as a handle material. I've decided after carrying this one and this Real Steel Metamorph recently, because I've got both these in for review. This is the version 2 of this. It's got the added deep carry pocket clip. I don't love aluminum as a handle material. It's too slick. I mean, this one is especially slick. The Bareknuckle is a little better. It has kind of a texture to it, but it's still pretty... I feel like it's not just that it's aluminum and slick, it's that the handle is really slim. So it kind of doesn't feel very secure in my hand. The G10 version feels better. I don't know what it is. It just feels better to me. I really wish they would have done G10 on this, but because they've shown it's possible to do G10 without any liners and the subframe lock right here. Just wanted to upgrade blade still. That's all I wanted. But, so that's one thing I don't love. I don't love aluminum handle knives. I've come to that conclusion, and then you might, and that's great, and that would be great for you. The handle is a little too slim. Now, where's my catapaz? There. Let's look at that slimness. I mean, it's slim. It's really slim. Like, it's barely over 0.4, 0.42 inches slim, inches wide. Standard's kind of half-inch, right? The G10 carbon fiber version, well, that's not possible. That's right, okay. I'm like, it's not zeroed. Is a little bit thicker. Not a lot, but a little bit, and just enough. Just enough. Maybe it's the carbon fiber overlay. I don't know. Feels better in the hand, though. It's weird. And that being that the handle is so slim, and with this lock bar design with the subframe lock, it actually causes you to frequently put pressure. I mean, look how you hold the knife. It's so slim in this dimension and this dimension that you have to almost put your finger on the lock bar. It's very difficult and uncomfortable and not natural to not put your finger there. And that causes tension. And look, I can't flip the knife when I'm putting that pressure on there, right? I have to consciously think, don't put pressure on the lock bar. One way you can do that, I found, is to flip the knife open kind of like in this position, and I don't feel like I put any pressure on the lock bar there. But that's kind of, I mean, you shouldn't have to position your hand in a weird way to open the knife. So a lot of negative reviews on this knife, and there's been some, are tailored around the fact that it's hard to flip, I couldn't get it open, the detent's too strong. It's really not that. The detent is great, I feel like. It's actually an awesome detent. It's the fact that it's such a slim handle and the subframe lock design, you're just putting it's just kind of a design flaw. I said that, but it's kind of a design flaw. Again, I would prefer G10. Just, it's slick. It's I wish the handle was a little thicker. And the biggest thing for me in the takeaway is, well, a couple things. One, the quality control of this knife was not good. I disassembled. I'll probably either put it in this video or do a separate video. I'll probably end up doing separate because I'm already almost 8 minutes into this one. I had a hard time getting this pivot off. It was spinning, and it shouldn't. It's not a double-sided. I mean, it shouldn't spin, right? I don't know if this frame was milled out too large, but I had to put some weird pressure on the blade to, like, when I was doing it, I had to like basically press down like this and then use it, and it finally got loose. Open it up, and you'll see this in the disassembly video, or maybe I'll just do the clip of where it's already disassembled. One of the bearings was missing a ball bearing. Totally weird. I've never actually even seen that. It's not like it's IKBS where they're going to fall out everywhere. They're caged bearings, and it was missing one of the bearings. What? Like, weird, right? And when they were assembling this knife in the USA, why didn't they catch that? I don't know. It's a weird thing. I've never had that experience ever with any ball bearing knife, and I've had a lot, including the $35 Natrix. So, totally weird. So two things there that stood out. And then the screws that go into the aluminum here, these were very difficult to get out. I mean, I actually didn't even disassemble them. I had to like rotate the handle, and because these would not, yeah, they wouldn't spin out either. It was strange. It was a very weird disassembly, and I was just kind of like taken back, like, oh, this is strange. Everything about this design just doesn't really, I don't know. There's some flaws in it. So anyway, guys, that's kind of I mean, this is probably going to be one of the only, I wouldn't call this a negative review, but there is some negatives to this knife, and let me talk about the next thing. So the price point is $70, right? USA made, you're not going to find anything. So if you want to stay USA made, understandable, this is your best option. But overseas made, which made in China is not what it used to be, guys. I mean, we know. WE Knives kills it. Riot Knives kills it. High quality. Some of the highest quality knives out there. Real steel, made in China. Oh, I hate this front flipper, by the way. Civivi, made in China. I've got a list. I'm going to put a list in the description of knives that are around the same price with similar materials that you can find for almost half this cost. And they're, I mean, I would even go out on a limb and say they're almost better knives. They're not made in the U.S. though. So that's your hang up. That's great. And this is a good option for that. And props to Kershaw for doing that, because they could have made this knife a lot more expensive. So they did a great job of making the value there for being a USA made knife. However, there is a lot of good options in this price point with 14C28N, D2. Civivi uses that 9CR13, whatever, that is very, very similar to 14C28N. You've got VG10. I mean, you've got a lot of good options in this price point. And there's a stiff market, a stiff competition. And I would choose, honestly, this is kind of not a great comparison because it's so much smaller, but the Aquila that I reviewed, I loved that knife for 70 bucks. I would choose it all day over the bare knuckle. That's just my opinion. There's a lot of options. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below to Amazon. It's going to have a bunch of knives that are in this price range with this steel that I think are probably just as good as this bare knuckle. To me, the copper Natrix was, with D2 steel and stuff, was almost a better option here. That this one had a lot of hype, the bare knuckle, because a lot of people didn't like how small the copper Natrix. What I think Kershaw should have done is stuck with this size. I think this size is fantastic, and just upgraded the blade steel and kept the G10 and everything. And then your cost was probably down. If they wanted to make it in the U.S., they could just still make it in the U.S., but make it with G10. I mean, it's not like it's that expensive of a material compared to aluminum. It's not. It's not like you're dealing with titanium and carbon fiber or something. Like, this is just a basic. G10 is not. I mean, there's tons of knives in G10 out there. I really wish they would have stuck with this size, with this blade shape, with this fuller. I mean, I think this is a better looking knife. I'm going to probably get some flack for this, but whatever, it's my opinion, so whatever. I think this is a better looking knife in a lot of ways. I mean, it's cheaper, and it looks cheaper because it's not, you know, it's got fake carbon fiber and stuff. But if you want just a straight G10, I do like the pivot better on the bare knuckle, I think. This one, I don't know, I don't mind it. But I haven't had any issues with this knife, and it's 35 bucks, and I've had a few with this, and it's double the price, and made in the U.S. versus China. I don't know, guys. So this video is already getting up in 12.5 minutes, so if I'm going to include the disassembly such stuff, I'll be, you know, over my limit. Typically, I like to be at 50 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up. But overall, the bare knuckle is a great value for 70 bucks. If you're looking for a USA-made knife, you don't want to buy a knife made in China. But I strongly encourage you to not have that attitude, because the knives that are made in China are not like what they used to be. They're fantastic. They're awesome. I mean, I have a bunch of knives made overseas that rival or are better than USA-made knives. So just keep that in mind. Have an open mind. If you're really looking for the best value, it's not overall. It's not in the USA made. It's actually made in China. So, all right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.